What's up, guys? My name is Gilbert, and I'm bringing you yet another tutorial in 7 Days to Die. So now, before I go on and with the topic and everything, I just want to explain, or apologize for why I haven't uploaded any videos in the last week. For that, that sentence got a bit fucked, but anyway. So I basically been on vacation. I've been skiing with my family. I tried skiing. I'm actually better at snowboarding, and I realized that, so I quit skiing. But it's been really fun, and I've had a great time. So, but yeah, obviously I haven't been able to access the computer or anything. And I'm also sorry for that. I'm not that frequent. I mean, like upload like a video a week, maybe. So I really try to be more frequent. I hope that I can be more frequent soon. But anyway, let's get to the video, or to the topic. So in this video I'm gonna talk about how to build a stable structure / a building in 7 Days to Die. So if you're new to this game and you're used to the Minecraft physics, you've probably experienced that if you don't build a stable building, if you don't okay, I'm just gonna start over that sentence. That you've probably experienced that sometimes when you build something, it randomly collapses. And that's probably really frustrating for you. At least I think it is. So, because you spend so much time collecting resources if you're playing survival mode, and all the time building it, and now it's all to waste. Ah, god damn it. But, so in this video, we're gonna try to avoid that state. Or at least try to delay it, because you're probably gonna experience it, because I even to this day experience it. So, what's the first thing you should think about when you're building a building or a structure? Okay, the first thing is to choose the right material. And what is the right material? Okay, so the most common reason for why building collapses is because you place too many blocks vertically for it to be stable enough. So, what do I mean with that? Well, if you look at all of these, no, not vertically, horizontally, sorry. So if you look at this, I placed a lot of blocks horizontally. And this is the maximum amount of blocks horizontally I can place out of each material before it collapses. So if I place, for instance with wood, so if I place another block here, it's all gonna collapse. And it's the same with the reinforced concrete, it's gonna collapse. And it doesn't matter if I place like a wooden block here, it's still gonna collapse. So, yeah, you want an item that can place a material that can have as many blocks horizontally as possible. And if you probably saw it before I ruined these things, but the superior material is metal trussing. Also, a great thing about metal trussing, while all of these materials collapse, everything collapsed, only the most further out block collapses when you work with metal trussing. So that's one good thing to know. But if you look here, I placed a lot of blocks vertically, and you can see that it doesn't collapse. Well, it's because this vertically you can basically, at least if it applies to at least if you're building like a smaller structure, you can place as many blocks vertically as possible. Not as possible. You can place as many as you want because it won't collapse. Obviously, if I wouldn't have all of these middle pillars in this building over here, it would probably collapse because there's too much weight. But it doesn't seem to apply here when I'm having like a small, really thin structure. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That this thing, placing blocks only applies vertically, though it applies in all directions vertically. So even doesn't matter if I place a block here or here. Okay, it worked somehow. Wait, let's get some concrete, and we actually have some concrete. No, concrete. So even if I place it here, it's still going to collapse because it applies in all directions. But yeah, so let's say that you build something that looks like this, and it looks fine. Then you're gonna take a walk on it, because you feel like it. And then you're like, Oh no! Everything collapsed! And yeah, so what do you learn from that? You learn that even if it looks fine, it doesn't actually have to be fine. So I mean, your own weight is basically too much for the structure to maintain. And how do you fix that? Well, you fix it basically just by us placing a block that's connected, vertically underneath it, that's connected to ground, so it gets more stable. And yeah, that also makes you able to place more blocks vertically, because now I think there were 15 blocks placed vertically when you start counting from this one. I mean, count this as 1. So now there are here, like, okay. So here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So okay, 7 blocks vertically. There are 3 in there, and there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. So I can just keep placing until I reach that limit point again. Yeah, you can see. And that's because I placed the block here underneath it that's connected to the ground. That makes it more sturdy. So it kind of resets the whole limit, basically. So you can just place a lot of pillars and you can make this as long as you want, basically. And then some building tips. Let's go on to that, shall we? So let's say that you want to connect 2 parts. So if you're building like something, you want like this. So if I'm just placing a lot of blocks here, bam, 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 bam. Well, you can't go on any further. Then just think like, okay, so I've reached the limit here, but I can still build from here, because here I haven't, it hasn't reached, and I can connect them. And like, ta-da, it works. But that's only how it looks. So, and as I said previously, it doesn't always, even if it looks fine, it's not always fine. So let's walk here. And you can hit C. Oh man, it collapsed. How unfortunate. And that's also one thing. If you do like this, you can't do it like this when it's not about a long distance. But I really advise you to not do it, because in the long run you're gonna get these random falling blocks, and they may really be random. That's really weird, and sometimes it's hard to predict, and especially when you're building a large structure. But so the main rule is basically, when you're building something, always try to walk on it. I mean, when you think it's steady enough, just walk on it, see, is it steady? Because it's gonna be really annoying when you've built a lot and you realize that, okay, what I built isn't sturdy or steady enough. So, but again, the way to need some more trusting. The way to avoid this happening is just by placing another block here. You can place several. You should place several when you're building a build structure. So yeah, it works now. And but you should keep in mind that you don't actually have to place metal trussing here. You can place any material, because it's not like wood isn't strong enough to maintain the weight of something. That's not the case. So even if wood isn't as durable, in the sense that it requires less hits for it to break than metal trussing does, it's still, it can still maintain the weight of anything, and that applies for all materials. So I can make these pillars out of wood and it will still work, basically. As long, and you can use it in that way, but as long as you, of course you can place it vertically, but you have to keep in mind that you can't place as many blocks. So if I would make this structure entirely out of wood, I would probably have to, this base structure. This isn't actually the complete building. This is just the base of it. So if I would make it entirely out of wood, I would probably have to add a few more, extra pillars, like middle pillars. But I don't with this, because I can place a lot of blocks horizontally, but you can't with wood. And yeah, if you're gonna do this with wood, for instance, what I just did here. Okay, so I think it was 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you see, yeah. And then you assume that you can just do as I just did here. But no, it collapses, and that's because each material acts differently, and most materials act like wood. So metal trussing is really the only unique one that way, in how with its physics. So yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. And I mean, when you're doing the trick like this, always make sure, if it's not about metal trussing, even if it's about metal trussing, also make sure to make a pillar. So I can do this trick again. Okay, I'm not counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this can easily be fixed by us placing some block here and block here, and it works to walk on it basically. And also when you're building something as well, like think of how even if the structure in the end will be stable, even if this is stable now, then just think like, okay, will it be stable in every phase? So I mean, you kind of plan your building. So when you build something, you think like, okay, if I build like this, should I build like you? Okay, I'm not getting anywhere. But I mean, basically, instead of, I could just build like one pillar and the roof. That's a harsh example, but I mean, then would be stable. No, it would collapse. So I start with building the pillars and then the roof. So then stable, right? So I'm kind of like plan my building so that it won't collapse during the building process. But yeah, but to sum things up, like you're building your base structure, you can always build things outside this. So yeah, but your base structure, that things that holds your structure standing, should look something like this. It doesn't have to be in this shape or anything, but it should look like this in the sense that it has a lot of pillars and a lot of extra steadiness. Like if you take these things that connect the pillars, it makes the building more steady. And let's see here. And if you see the roof here, I've placed it so I've made 2 layers of roof that are connected to each other and to the walls, or I mean to the pillars. So it makes it a lot more steady as well. And I mean, don't be afraid that you're overdoing it, because it's always better to overdo it than underdoing it. Because yeah, it doesn't actually hurt if you're overdoing it. It just, yeah, you're on the secure side if you do it, so to say. And yeah, build like, even if I could place less pillars and less things that make it sturdy, it may still something may still go wrong later on, if you know what I mean. It may still collapse later on. So yeah, but basically just build a lot of things, a lot of middle pillars like this, and make it more sturdy than you think it has to be, because, well, don't take the risk. And of course, if I place blocks in between here, it's gonna get even more sturdy. So I mean, so yeah. But yeah, this is basically the end of the video. Hope you liked it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.